citizen, York County Conservative Club member. Honored to be moderator for this evening as we allow the people to hear the voices of the candidates and the viewpoints on significant matters that are impacting our communities today. I would like to take this time, we're going to introduce our candidates for tonight. We drew straws, and I don't know if the short straw was necessarily the best one, but we're going to go ahead and go with our first candidate. Sitting in chair 1 will be Mr. Tripp McCoy. Our second candidate is Mr. Everett Stubbs. And our third candidate is Mr. Tibi Czentye. We have 5 questions as well as a closing statement round. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to each question posed. To maintain fairness, the order in which the candidates will respond will rotate with each subsequent question. Time will be kept here with Ms. Rhonda Savage, and candidates will be notified when they have 30 seconds left, in addition to when they have run out of time. At which point we ask the current speaker to conclude their remarks without any further delay. We also remind those in attendance, we are gathered this evening to listen to the candidates and hear what they have to say. And we do have a sheriff in the room for anybody that needs additional reminders. So tonight, our topics will include constitutional carry of firearms, judicial reform, infrastructure and funding in our rapidly expanding districts, police funding and the safety of our communities, and finally, the challenges faced by our educational institutions. So at this time, we will go ahead and begin our forum. So to begin, we will begin with constitutional carry, and this question begins with Mr. McCoy. In a state that heavily values gun rights and the Second Amendment, how do you balance the push for constitutional carry of firearms along with the concerns for public safety and law enforcement?
Yeah, that'll help. I'm 100% pro Second Amendment. One of my grandfathers owned a gun shop. My other grandfather was a firefighter, now a retired constable. I don't know that you're going to find anybody who's more pro Second Amendment than myself. And I've read the Second Amendment, I'm sure like everybody in this room has. I've never seen an asterisk beside where it says you have the right to bear arms, where it says unless it's constitutional carry, open carry, concealed carry. And I believe in the right to constitutional carry. And what we all have to realize is sometimes, I know it gets a little, some people are a little worried hearing constitutional carry, anybody can open carry. But law-abiding citizens are always going to be law-abiding citizens, and criminals are always going to be criminals. It doesn't matter what the law is. And that's why we have to give law enforcement the tools necessary to apprehend criminals when they do abuse rights. But that doesn't mean that law-abiding citizens should suffer penalties because of that. That's it.
Excellent. Mr. Stubbs.
All right. Yep. Thank you. Well, it won't take me 2 minutes, but first of all, thank y'all, Kyle, and everybody else for being here tonight. This is obviously an important night for all 3 of us up here. I'll tell you this: when it comes to the Second Amendment, it is a right that we can't infringe upon. And what I tell people is, in the historical aspect of the Second Amendment, I'm not really sure how we even got to a place where we had to have a course and a certificate from the State Law Enforcement Division for a concealed weapon. I feel like that is a right that actually our forefathers gave to us in the Constitution, and one that should be honored. One point that I do want to make clear about the most recent constitutional carry bill that I think really helps law enforcement. If you didn't know, on the federal level, it's been illegal to hold or to possess a firearm if you're a felon. That is not the case in South Carolina until this bill passed. So Sheriff Dorsey, the other law enforcement officers, for the first time ever here in the state of South Carolina, if a criminal is caught with a gun, someone that has a felony on their record, they can be held accountable for that. So this was a good opportunity, in my opinion, to put a good law in the books that helps us as a community stay safe and also honors our Second Amendment rights given to us by our forefathers. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Czentye.
The Constitution gives us the right to have gun, all of us, and to have the gun is very important especially for me. I escaped from one socialist dictator regime country where they first step, they took the guns from us and they took over after then the country. We lose all our power. So therefore, the gun is very important, and we cannot give up the guns, because once we give up the guns, we're gonna give up all our rights, even here in America, sadly. So, and I really believe the guns, we have the right to have them, and we use them for hunting, but not just for hunting. For me, the most important thing is when we can protect ourselves from bad people, but at the same time we can protect and fight for our freedom against the external and internal enemies who want to take our freedom.
Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen. We will move on to our second question, is in the topic of judicial reform. This is a hot topic at the State House currently. With this, Mr. Stubbs, you will have honors with this question. How should South Carolina address the concerns in our judicial system, including the concern of which allows legislators in the legal field to appoint the same judges that they appear before in court?
Okay, so I think it's fitting that the lawyer in the room get the first judicial. No, so listen, y'all, what we have essentially is what's called the Judicial Merit Selection Committee. It's 10 people that are appointed that are essentially electing our judges in the state of South Carolina. That's not right. That's not what the law intends. It was supposed to be, when they created the JMSC, it was supposed to actually be for efficiency purposes. What its intent was if you had 50 candidates to be a judge, we will cull those down to the top 3, pass them on, and let the Joint Assembly then pick the best of those 3. In practicality, that's not what's happening, okay? In practicality, those 10 people are selecting their pick and putting 2 others that don't stand a chance up. And so essentially they're picking our judges in the state, and that's not the way it should be. I hear a lot of times about lawyer legislative members and their power, and especially in selecting judges. Lawyer legislators are definitely necessary, but we should not be given preference or deference or any superiority over our brethren and sisters that are also in the legislature. If selected to represent Senate District 17, I will use my skills as a lawyer working in the legal profession every day to benefit us, to pass good laws, to do things that our constituents want us to do. But it should not be using the laws that are in place to abuse the system. And unfortunately, that's what the JMSC has been doing. So how do we change that? We get rid of the JMSC. It's a simple solution, in my opinion. We go back to the old way, let all legislative members make the decision, not just 10. Thank you.
The judicial reform is a huge issue here in South Carolina. We and Virginia are the last 2 states which we elect judges through the lower legislators. So this is one problem which generates corruption. We know not all the lawyers are bad. One by me is good, but many are bad. And they are clear. We had issues. I can give you some example with the Murdoch case. People laugh at us after so many years and still not too much happened. They are so powerful and they play around. Then we have these bad people go in jail, and after a few days they are free. Our law enforcement, they risk their life and they put them in jail. And on the other side, the judge release them. Some lower legislators, the bad guys hire them, and then together with the judge never gonna go against the lower legislator, because actually they elect them. So we have to be sure how we elect and how we control all the system, because otherwise we're gonna have huge issues. And I believe yes, we need lawyers, but we need less, and we need to be able to control them, and we have to make them to be responsible for everything what is going on in the judicial system.
Excellent, thank you. Mr. McCoy.
Yeah. Yes, so Recently, what's passed in through the state senate has been a watered down version of judicial reform that, like Mr. Stubbs mentioned, that tries to work on reforming the merit committee to raise it from 10 members to 12 members, and trying to give the governor a little bit of say by allowing him to have 4 picks on that merit committee. The House would have 4 picks, the Senate would have 4 picks. The issue that currently stands is that on the merit committee, of the 10 members that we currently have, 3 have to come straight out of the House as lawyer legislators, and 3 have to come straight out of the Senate as lawyer legislators. What they've done is with what's passed in the Senate, is that now it's going to be 4 members come out of the House, all of them are going to be lawyer legislators. 4 come out of the Senate, all of them are going to be lawyer legislators. And the governor, he gets to pick 4, but one of them has to be a retired judge who comes out of the corrupted, antiquated system that we're trying to replace. And the governor would have nominal say in this because he's always going to be outvoted 4 members to 8. I believe in the direct election of judges like a lot of other states do. I believe it's how you hold judges accountable to the people and not accountable to the General Assembly, certainly not accountable to only lawyer legislators that are down there in the General Assembly. We have liberal judges coming out of our conservative state because we have allowed more liberal-leaning legislators to control the process. When instead, if we would allow the citizens of our conservative state who have good conservative values to elect those judges, we could have conservative judges being put up all the time who would be responsible for what the people actually want to have happen, and to not have a revolving door of criminals getting back out on the streets and making our law enforcement have to work even harder to get them back in. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you, gentlemen. Our third topic tonight regarding infrastructure and district funding. So it is no surprise to everyone in this room that our district is experiencing high rates of residential and business growth. People are coming to South Carolina at incredible rates. In saying this, there are infrastructure needs in our areas to keep up with this growth. How should state funding be allocated to address the growing infrastructure needs, and what would be your plan to help ensure these funds are used effectively in such a critical area of our I-77 corridor? Mr. Czentye, you have honors.
Infrastructure is a huge issue again for us, and how lots of people emigrate here from other states, and not just from there, and our infrastructure cannot survive in this way, so we have to found it somewhere, somehow. And my understanding is we had this year the biggest budget allocated for in South Carolina, but we are concerned in what direction we're gonna send that money. And what we learned, Greenville and other big other big cities, they start to receive more money than us, and we pay taxes too, and we expect to be treated in the same way like others, so we expect some funds to be sent to our way too. And also everything what is new here, I believe we have to, the people who come here, they have to pay some share, not just our people to pay, extend the extra, overtax them. They have, who's coming here, they have some benefits, so they have to pay some extra money too. And the builders and everybody who build and construction, who took advantage and they took big monies, I think they have to be involved themselves also to pay a little bit more than what they're doing, not just our people. If I'm elected, I'm gonna fight for this, and I'm gonna try to be funds here in our district, because our district need roads and need many things to be able to bring good businesses here. If you don't have infrastructure, nobody gonna come here.
Mr. McCoy?
I'm really glad that Mr. Czentye went ahead and brought up the budget, because we do. South Carolina has now passed in 2 years in a row, they broke their own record. They have now passed, or the State House has passed at least, the largest state budget in history at $40 billion. So in order to have money going into the right places, we have to know where that money is currently being spent. And in South Carolina, we're spending about $8,000 a person just to maintain our state. By comparison, I've looked at North Carolina state budget. They have about a $30 billion budget with twice as many people as the state of South Carolina. So they're maintaining their state on about $3,000 a person, while we're maintaining it on about $8,000 a person. Where's the other $5,000 a person going into? Well, when we misplace $1.8 billion and it's gone for 5 years in an overflow account that nobody knows where it was supposed to be at, obviously some of our money, a lot of our money, is being misappropriated. So if we want to have the money come in to help infrastructure in our area and to all of the states, the first thing that we have to do is find out where is this money being spent inefficiently at, where we can afford to just lose $2 billion and not know where it's at. We bring in as a state about $18 billion in revenue every year. So we misplaced about 10% of our annual revenue. I don't know about y'all, but I can't misplace 10% of my annual income for 5 years and think that everything's going to be okay. My wife would probably kill me. But we have to find out where that money's going so we can bring the money down here so we can get the infrastructure in place that we need that's not being misspent, because it's obviously not going to our roads. We know that South Carolina spends less money mile for mile. South Carolina spends less money on its roads than any other state. So if you take a mile of roads in South Carolina and compare it to a mile of roads anywhere else, you're going to see that South Carolina is spending less money to maintain those roads. And I'm out of time, so thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stubbs.
All right. Well, let me tell you what's not working, okay? Currently, we have a senator that is not even in the conversation, doesn't have a seat at the table when it comes to decisions that are made in Columbia and regarding our infrastructure here in Senate District 17, okay? That's the first thing that has to change. We don't need to be greedy and take a large portion of the budget here in District 17. Everyone sees growth is coming, okay? But if we don't have a seat at the table when these important decisions are being made, whether they're on planned developments or large economic projects such as Gallo or GT, or list any of the ones that have happened here recently, Scout Motors. I mean, these are huge, huge projects that cost a buttload of money to handle the infrastructure needs to supply those. And currently our state senator, and this I guess you could say is me kind of taking a shot, this is one of my largest gripes with him. I don't believe that he has a seat at the table. And I think you can look at the proof is in the pudding. Okay, we have missed 100 times opportunities to get state funding help to address the roads, sewer, water, electric, and gas right here. Also, these new planned developments, these new projects, they all put stress on other infrastructure, our schools, our jails, our law enforcement, and we're completely missing that boat. So the one thing that I promise that I'll do for this district is I'll be that voice of reason, and that voice will be heard in Columbia. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. This is kind of our halftime. We are through 3 rounds at this point. We will bring the mic back to Mr. McCoy with honors. We will stay on the infrastructure topic, but we will be a little more in-depth or detailed moving to schools. Obviously, we've mentioned large amounts of growth in our community, and part of that infrastructure is related to schools. Chester County voters have now voted down 3 capital bond referendums in the last 6 years. So it is fair to discuss what are your strategies to improve the schools in the area and address the educational funding needs in this area.
Yeah. So I'm a believer in small government, and I'm a believer that we have to listen to what the voters want and what they say. And the reason that the voters turned down the bonds, at the very least the most recent bond, it was a $263 million bond that Chester County had. And the plan was to raise property taxes in order to pay for that. And essentially, that property tax raise was going to almost double the property taxes in Chester County to pay for those schools. And the voters realized somebody was going to have to pay for that. It was going to be them. And they didn't feel that they needed this bond to go into effect. Now, with that said, on a state level, what we can do, again, is we need to figure out how much money we are spending, where that money is going, so we can take money from the state budget that's being mishandled to go back into our communities. But Chester County is one of the only counties in the area. So I actually saw this in the news yesterday. Lancaster, York, Chesterfield, and Kershaw counties have all experienced growth since 2020. Chester County's population has actually gone down in that amount of time. So looking at what the voters said in Chester County and all the work that I've put in going through the district, the voters, they're happy in a rural setting. They're happy not experiencing as much growth and having controlled growth. And controlled growth would start at the county level in Chester by maybe county council having impact fees to limit that development. But we have to listen to what the voters want. And the voters said they didn't want these bonds because they didn't want to be the ones flipping the bill. And when we go down to Columbia, we have to say, well, how can we get the money to the people down there? And the best way to do that is probably to cut out all of this excessive spending that we have on a state level. So we can get that money back up to the people in Chester without them having to flip the bill themselves. And I see I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stubbs.
Unfortunately, I think this is going to be a fourth failed bond referendum in Chester County. In talking to the people like Tripp, I've been out, door knocking, talking to folks, going to things, and I believe part of the problem when it comes to the school bond referendum is essentially that we're trying to buy Cadillacs on Chevrolet budgets, okay? And that doesn't work, all right? And so, but the real problem is, as far as the state legislature, we spend as a state $23,000 per pupil per year. And that's pretty middle of the road when it comes to nationwide, okay? I see a local school board member here shaking her head. Funding is not the problem, in my opinion. It's the use of the funds. We are way top heavy, okay? We're spending all our money on administration and these special programs. We need to get back to the basics, okay? We need to teach kids arithmetic, reading, science, all of the things that we send our kids to school to learn, okay? So that's where our focus needs to go. That's where our money needs to go. And all the other things, the bells and whistles, will naturally follow. In Chester County in particular, you've got very strong, these schools almost hold these communities up, okay? You talk to anybody in Great Falls, they're darn proud of being part of Great Falls schools. All right, so we can improve these schools with a reasonable budget, okay, and give the kids a product that parents can be proud of.
Czentye.
The school is one very important issue also, and my understanding it's missing the trust between the voters and the school administration. And the school administrators receive lots of money, but it's not going in the right direction. We really have to focus in our teachers. The teachers prepare, or they have to prepare our kids for the future, and the teachers are not able even to purchase or rent an apartment on our area. That is why they're gonna leave, and that is why we don't have quality teachers, because they don't wanna stay and they go in other places, and it's our fault to see. We have to see how we have to see where the money is stuck, because the money is going there, but in one point it's not going on the right place. So I know teachers, and they are very poor, and they love the kids, and they understand the job, what they have to do, but many of them, they cannot afford rent. We start to, in Fairfield, build some houses for them, just to bring them and help them, attract them to us, because the kids are our future, and if we don't pay attention on our kids, what is about this life? But to have good kids and be prepared, the teacher have to be happy, and we have to bring good teachers here. So therefore, with the funding, it's are new places where they are going, lots of people, and it's one big discussion there between Chester and Ridgeburg, because in Ridgeburg are the big new houses, and they expect to build school there, and Chester want to build the school in Chester, and it's one other big problem between them, so the trust is not there, so we have to work to make them one bridge and make them to understand the most important thing is our kids and how we can solve it to prepare them for the future.
Thank you, Mr. Czentye. Mr. Stubbs, you have honors for our next topic, which is safety and police. So we know safety is a top priority for voters in this district, with many citing that one police agency in the district has even seen 5 different police chiefs in the last 9 years, which has become some of a concern. What are your strategies to retain leaders in our law enforcement agencies and at the same time improving safety in our communities?
I think I know what agency you're speaking about. So, listen, it's no secret, right? The city of Chester's had some troubles when it comes to police chief issues. But, and this is, me tipping my hat again to Max Dorsey back there. We've got a great sheriff's department that has picked that baton up and run with it. And thank you for that, Sheriff. The other thing is the key. Yeah, please give me that. So, his agency has stepped up when they didn't have to, and that's for the citizens, and that's honorable, and we appreciate that. Another thing that I saw in the news recently is that Sheriff Dorsey and Sheriff Montgomery, their departments actually had a joint task force, I believe, that just hit a house or a couple of houses in Medford and got methamphetamines off these streets, fentanyl off these streets. And so I think the storyline that we can learn from that is collaboration, okay? Cooperation and collaboration amongst various departments. And that has to be the case between local law enforcement and state legislative members. Look, my dad was a cop. I've been on the Chester County Sheriff's Foundation board. I'm as pro-police as anybody in this room or probably anywhere in the country. But at the end of the day, we have to back the blue, and then they have to have the confidence that we in Columbia are going to give them the keys to be successful. What do people in District 17 care about? When they call 911, they want to know the cops are coming and that they have the tools and the ability to do the job when they get there. So it's our job as state legislative members to give them those tools and those opportunities. Thank you.
Mr. Czentye.
Safety, it's very important thing in one free society because everybody can choose left and right and be good or bad. The law enforcement, it's one very important tool for us. Especially in Chester, my understanding it's why we lose 5 chief police in 9 years. The city council and the mayor have to support the chief, but they don't have to overrun them or control them because they have no idea about their job. So we have to trust the chief and give him all the tools to be able to do his job. And if you never did that job, you just shut up and step back and just support him financially. So these guys risk their life each day for us, and I cannot believe it. We are not able to keep them by us. We have to increase the salary. Nothing is too much to keep somebody who save and protect our life and our kids. So we have to do one extra step and understand where are the problems and we have to fix them. And these guys, they want to work. These guys, they're coming here, but in case if they go and receive money in other places more, or in case if the mayor or the city councils try to teach them and control them what to do and how to do the job, they're gonna leave. And we really don't want to do that. We really have to protect them. They are one of the most important things in our district, the law enforcement and of course the chief.
Thank you. Mr. McCoy.
Yeah, so Tibi actually covered that fairly well. This sounds, as far as retaining leadership in a municipality, that's going to be left up to the municipality. It's going to be left up to city council. So if the voters are electing a city council that is butting heads, not getting along with their police chief, then, and they don't want that to happen, because some voters like gridlock. But if they don't want that to happen, they need to put up people in city council for Chester to run for that office and then elect those people to maintain good leadership. Because if they're butting heads and the voters don't want to see that happen, they need to put up a city council that's going to do that. But for statewide issues, something that's that we can help with is to be there for law enforcement. And if something that we need to do is give a raise for law enforcement at a statewide level, that's something that we can do. That's all going to come back to the budget. The number one job of the General Assembly, a job that a lot of legislators seem to sleep on, is that our job is to pass a state budget. I apologize, that is an alarm. Make sure that my son gets his bottle at night. But we have to make sure that, I'm so sorry, I've lost my train of thought. We have to be there for law enforcement. It is our number one goal, and for public safety. And as a legislator, our goal, our number one job is to pass the state budgets. It is to make sure that money's being spent appropriately, that we don't pass a bloated $40 billion budget, that we don't lose $1.8 billion that we can't find for 5 years. Because then we can't make sure that law enforcement is getting the appropriate funding that they need, that roads and schools are getting the appropriate funding that they need, because we're having to sit around and do Senate subcommittees trying to pass a blame game around to find out, well, whose fault is it that we lost the money? We need to accept the responsibility that somebody lost the money, and we need to go in and fix this problem and make sure it doesn't happen again. And I'm out of time again, so thank you.
So, gentlemen, this will be the last round. This will begin with Mr. Czentye. And this will just be a general open forum for you guys. This will be 2 minutes of closing statements for the forum. So, Mr. Czentye, if you would start us off for that closing statement.
My name is Tibi, and I'm one legal immigrant, proud U.S. citizen, and I'm proud to be American. And I started life here with 2 kids, 2 luggages, wife and God. And I worked 5 years, 3 jobs per day, and in California. And after 18 years, I escaped from California and I come in this wonderful state. And since then, I'm Southerner. And to integrate myself, I bought guns, boat, tractor, and now I'm working on my accent. Besides that, I have 6 grandkids, all of them born here in USA, the first Czentye. And we built our own company, we accomplished the American dream, and now I start to be very concerned about this direction of our country, because it's going to start to look like where I'm coming from. Socialist dictatorship, it's very dangerous, it's coming slowly, guys, and it's gonna, you cannot fix it just in generations. And it's funny, after 35 years now, I thought I'm fine, mission accomplished 3 years ago, and now I'm really concerned, and I don't have too many things, or step back and just shut up and be upset, or involve myself in politics, and in free society, still the politics start from local level up. So I have to do what I have to do better, and to do my best and be one good example for my kids. And I want to do better for our district. The life is short, and I really believe we have to do better for everybody. Deserve better life, and we can do it together. If you elect me, I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna make you proud, and I'm gonna work hard to make my kids to be proud of me too. God bless you, and thanks for your time.
Yes, thank you, Mr. McCoy.
I'm Tripp McCoy. I am by far the youngest man on the stage, I believe.
Not by a whole lot.
But
Don't talk for me.
the number one thing that I can say is that I'm a workhorse. My wife will attest that I work 80, 100 hours a week at whatever that I do. I graduated from the University of South Carolina with my bachelor's degree in 2 years because I don't take summers off. And I actually got to tell Robin earlier, I think my only semester I didn't have a max course load was my last semester. And I've carried that through, and I'm committed. My wife and I, we've been together since high school. We got married. COVID slowed us down a little bit, but we got married, bought our house. We now have he'll be 11 months on Saturday, our son. And we've started a business that we've been blessed with, that's given me the opportunity to take my financial background that I have and to put it down into the States. Y'all are probably tired of hearing of it by now, but I do believe our number one job that we have to do as a senator is make sure that our budget is in good order. And we have to have somebody who's going to put in the work and the dedication and has proven that time and time again. I've spent the last now 6 months in my truck going out into this very rural district to go meet the voters. I believe I just now clicked over 6,000 doors that I'm through already. And that is no easy feat. I believe I'm now over 27,000 miles in that truck. And you can't replace that level of hard work and dedication that it's going to take, because we're going to have a senator who's down there putting in that level of work every single day. And we need somebody who's proven it over their entire adult life that they're going to go down there and do it, because the guy who's got the seat now has proven he'll go out here and campaign and shake hands, but when he gets down to Columbia, he's not going to do any of the actual work. Thank you.
And Mr. Stubbs, you may bring us home.
All right, well, gentlemen, thank you all too. Listen, the one theme that I think you can take away from tonight is that all three of us in various ways are living the American dream, okay? Two successful men beside me, and I'm proud to stand up here with them. I've talked to quite a few people here in this district as well, and met quite a few doors, and what people in District 17 care about, again, are a few core things, okay? They want to know, do they have good jobs with good wages? And is the government taking half or close to half of the wages that they're bringing home? They want to know that they're sending their kids to school and they're learning what the kids are supposed to be learning at school. And they want to know that they're safe. And then on the weekends, they want to go to church and not be bothered. Those are the core values of District 17. This is a blue-collar district, okay? I call it the cowboy boot district, all right? So the people in this district are blue-collar people for the most part. They work hard for an honest living, and they want the government to be as least intrusive to them as possible, okay? I plan to deliver that for them. I plan to get our fair share of the funding from Columbia while also honoring our Constitution and their wishes. So I ask you all to consider all three of us very seriously in determining who you think should be the Republican candidate going into November. Thank you.